What is up, maniacs, and welcome back to Broadened Horizon. It has been a while, but I am still your host, Drake Riggs, here with episode 33. Ryzen 45 is right around the corner as 2023 winds down. As is tradition, that means more big fights inside the Ryzen ring. Kicking off the show, we're joined by the new Ryzen Bantamweight champion, Juan Archuleta, who gets set to make his first title defense against the former champion, Kai Asakura. The former Bellator champion Archuleta has a world of possibilities awaiting him now that the PFL has taken over Bellator. But first, Ryzen 45 and title defense number 1 is on deck. Also fighting at Ryzen 45 will be the magician, John Dodson, who joins us ahead of his bout with Archuleta's last opponent, Hiromasa Ugikubo. A win for Dodson could be just what he needs to challenge for the incoming flyweight crown decided between Kyoji Horiguchi and Makoto Shinryu on the same night. Thanks as always to our two great guests for chatting, and thanks to everyone who supports the show. We'll be back soon with episode 34 before Ryzen 45, so stay tuned for that. Whether you've been watching on MMAmania.com, YouTube, or listening on Spotify, don't forget to hit like and share if you enjoy. Kicking things off, it is the Ryzen Bantamweight champion, the Spaniard, Juan Archuleta. All right, Juan. Well, good to see you as always, my friend. Happy Wednesday night. Just how are things? How's life with a Spaniard these days, champ?
Oh man, it's going good. You know, they say once you reach the mountain, it takes twice as much work to stay on top. So that's what I've been doing, man. Just been out here training, having fun, trying to retain my title, getting excited to head out to Japan.
Yeah, all the good stuff, man. Like, when are you going to head out? Are you going to try and go a little early for the holidays, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, so we're gonna celebrate Christmas on the 17th out here before we leave, and then I leave on December 20th.
Okay. All right. So a good amount of time there. I mean, there's not much adjusting you have to do aside from, like, the time, right?
Yeah, because we go to the future, right? So
Yes.
we're a day ahead. So getting out there and just the main thing is like when you're a professional athlete and like you fly, the problem is water retention,
Mm,
the difference in air pressure kind of like messes with the internal body, so you withhold a lot of water. So it's always good for me to get out there at least 10 days before. That way I have the 2 days to acclimate, and then by then I have a 7 day, weight cut that I could do for me.
all right. I hear you. I hear you. And yeah, you're, I mean, weight cutting professional at this point, man. You've fought in at every single weight you possibly can. So.
Right, right. Yeah, definitely. I'm hoping, after this one, we can make a good champion versus champion fight, and I can fight at 45. It'll still be a weight cut, but,
Yes.
it won't be completely down.
Yeah, for sure. And that would be pretty exciting, man. So, of course, we got business to take care of first. And,
Of
I wanted to
course.
say it's been cool seeing what you're doing this Champ Camp series on YouTube recently. Whose idea was this, man? Did you come up with it,
Yeah,
or somebody put it in your ear?
no, yeah, thank you. Well, I've always wanted to put things out, and it's just like finding the right photographer, finding the right guy that edits, and then I'm so busy, like,
Yeah.
I've always wanted to do this and let fans a little more in, but there was always a side of me that didn't want to show people, because
Yeah.
when you put yourself out there, there's a lot of different interpretation that happens. You put your family on a platform, and so it's a little nerve-wracking, right? Like that's the main thing, but my family was all for it. They've gone to Japan. They've become little characters in Japan. So people love them. People love my lifestyle, and want a deeper look into who the Spaniard is, right? And like what's it like living with me? What's it like having training partners? What's it like training? So yeah, man, I've been able to blessed to find the right people and like just start that series up, and I feel like it's going good so
Yeah.
far, right? Like it's pretty entertaining, and it's showing a different look of who I am, so it's just pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, is it still feeling weird to have like the documentation go on? Or are you feeling more comfortable now?
No, yeah, I mean, I've had people document me, and like actually from like the beginning of my MMA career, and that guy just disappeared. He disappeared with all this footage of me coming up in King of the Cage, Gladiator Challenge, like through the historic run that I made through King of the Cage, the lifestyle of training with going out reaching the best training partners I can, like TJ Dillashaw, Cub Swanson, Brian Ortega, like full on footage of like awesomeness, right? And then part of Kingdom, he was there and had like the background stuff of Kingdom, and it's like we were supposed to put all this stuff together, and it just never transpired. It was one of those things that sucked, and wish I could get my hands on.
Yeah, so we got to call out this guy, man. We got to track him down and get our hands
Yeah,
on that stuff.
yeah,
It's a lot of
yeah,
lost memories,
yeah, for sure.
but making up for it now, man. And it's been cool
Yeah.
seeing you train with Kyohei as well. Hagiwara. Just how has that been? Obviously, guy who's in the same promotion doing his thing as well. But
Mhm.
what kind of started this? How did you kind of connect with him to get along with the training camp and whatnot?
Yeah, so when I was my first fight on New Year's Eve last year, shoot, that's like exactly 1 year ago.
Yeah.
It flies by, right?
Hmm.
But he was with Pitbull, and Pitbull was there early, and we were kind of like hanging out, almost like training in the same. Like it was foreign to me, right? It's a foreign country, so I jumped on with Pitbull for the first couple days I was there, and Keohe was there, and we moved around a little bit. Super cool dude, and then he was like, "Hey, I want to come to California sometime to train." I'm like, "Bro, you're always welcome. Anytime I can help someone out, I would love to." And then the next time he said, "Hey, I still want to come out." And then the next time I came out, same thing. But I won the title this time. He said, "Okay, this time I'm really coming. Like I want to come." Because I went to his town in Osaka and visit him. He took me to some very traditional Osaka restaurants and ate some good takoyaki and like some very good traditional food there. Showed me around his little area, super cool. And then after he lost his last fight, he shot me a message. I said, "Hey, can I come out in November?" I said, "You're more than welcome." Came out, got an Airbnb, and trains with me every session, and it's been a blessing, man. It's been super cool having a good partner, someone different, someone that's you don't constantly train with, so they're keeping you honest, different looks and super cool.
Yeah, that's great, man. And do you think that he's going to stick around now that he's, actually training with you, or just kind of wait and see with him?
Yeah, well, he's definitely headed back to Japan because he has a kid,
Hmm.
but we're trying to get him a fight out here. I think like that's the main thing, like trying to show him like because he's getting really good and like now he's starting to really compete with me in positions that he wasn't able to at first, and now it's just like we're scrapping,
Yeah.
so it's super cool. And then but I like to be able to see him utilize that now, like
Hmm.
being able to use it right now instead of like waiting to February or like March or whenever they plan him to fight. So
Yeah.
hopefully he gets a fight. We're hoping to lock him into something. I know like there's been a couple openings for like Combate, LFA. We're trying to lock him in on something that's not going to tie him down. So be super cool to see.
Yeah, of course. I mean, he's always a fun guy to watch as he has been through his career so far. So with those improvements that you could add to him, man, I can only imagine what the next
Yeah,
version is going to look like. But
yeah,
man, Juan, it's crazy. This is it's the first time we've chatted since you are officially the champ now, man. So I got to give you a formal
it's
congratulations, but I got to ask too, man. I know it was a big deal for you, a dream, a goal to kind of check off the list. So what was the feeling of winning the title like? And, how do you kind of compare that feeling with the Bellator title, if you could?
man. I was actually just talking to Cub Swanson about this when and just right now when we were grappling, we were sitting down and Cub's someone that I've shadowed for a while, right? Like I was able to start training with them and incorporate some wrestling in his career, and and this was when he was on his 5 fight win streak, or I think it was like six, and then
Hmm.
he had just I forgot who had just knocked out, and they were going to give him Edgar the first time, and then and he lost that fight, and he broke his jaw, and I was like, man, I was watching him, and then he lost his next one, and then like he was trying to rebound, and I was like, man, this is tough. Like he was on the highest high, and then he loses, and he was getting ready for a title fight, and it was similar to the position I was in. I just lost two world title fights. Like not a lot of people come back from that.
Yeah.
If any, I don't really know anyone that has bounced back from losing two title fights and put themselves in a position to become a world champion again. And so, at least in a big organization,
Yeah.
and Ryzen, and so that's why it's so much different because like it was like a rebirth for me. Like Japan actually was like because I fought after I lost two Stots, I fought the Peruvian kid in Bellator in Long Beach. Why am I forgetting his name?
Barzola.
Uh, Barzola. There you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fought Barzola and I won, and I knew I was capable of beating Stutz. I felt like I was winning that, dominating that fight. I just caught a knee in my forehead instead of catching the shin, and so it was like one of those things. Like, man, and I felt like I beat Sergio at that time too. But like, obviously, me being offensive, he being defensive, so you start to doubt yourself, right? Like doubts creep in, and so the Barzola helped me spark up and know that I'm capable of winning. I still have it. And then the next fight, Sucho Kim, there's still that lingering like ghost behind you of like, yeah, you won these fights, but you're still not a champion. Then you
Mm.
go into the next fight, the new way. I sprained my ankle real bad in the first 10 seconds. Like, man, what's going on, man? Like, what the heck? And then I win that fight. And then getting ready for Asakura, he pulls out 12 days before the fight. They switch to the opponent. I'm like, oh, it don't matter. I'm fighting for a world title. This is what matters. And then fighting them, and then like not really catching my performance that I want, and it was just like change of opponent, different size of opponent. So overcoming all those obstacles for me was way better than the Bellator title
Mm.
for me. So when I compare those two, it showed me that no matter what happens in life, the adversity, the trials, the tribulations, it'll always be overcome through hard work, dedication, belief, and then also this support from your family, your coaches, and the working staff behind you. And so I just thank all these people that had my back, all the sponsors, all the coaches, the promoters. Mike Kogan believed in me, and that's someone I hope who stays around, because he's given me a lot of opportunity, and like, especially it's like I tell my manager like, "Hey, I want this fight," and it's like they look at me like, "Bro, you're crazy! Like this guy's on a high. Like why
Yeah.
why are you gonna fight this guy? Even Kogan will like, are you sure you want this fight? Like Pitbull, right? He just knocked out Michael Chandler. I'm like, dude, give me him the first fight of the
Yeah.
Grand Prix. Like screw it, right? And then when I found out Sergio gets here, I'm like, well, obviously I was trying to get Sergio in the beginning because I wanted my rematch. Like, no, you're crazy. He's fighting Stotts, and then he pulls out, and they're like, well, hey, do you? I was the first call. Hey, do you want Stotts? I'm like, yeah, let's go. I'm willing to fight anyone that has the most momentum, because at the end of the day, I'm challenging myself as an athlete, right? I want the people who have the most momentum, and I want to fight them then and there. It was like Patchy. He was on his, what was his 17 fight win streak counting his amateurs,
Hmm.
and then I dethrone him, and it's just like that's who I am as an athlete, and that's who I want to be remembered as a martial artist, fighting people at the highest of highs and being able to take them out. And it might not go my way sometimes, but that's the game we play.
Oh man, I mean, you're a great example of all that. It's been an awesome story that continues to be written, man. So it's
Yes.
definitely been seriously cool to watch unfold and all that. And you mentioned kind of the fight with Hero to win the title. They're like maybe not going as you were expecting, like because of the short notice, or kind of what I guess caught you off guard, or did it go mostly how you thought it would? Like, tell me, I guess, about the experience.
Yeah, I mean, like short notices are always tough, right? Like you got the Cosmat and the Usman fight, right?
Hmm.
And then like those pull out, and then because you're training like, for instance, NBA and NFL, they're not going to be like, "Oh, sorry, the Raiders can't play this
Yeah,
week.
yeah,
You're going to play Denver, or you're going to play a rushing team. You're getting ready for them all week. Oh, sorry, you're playing a passing team now. Like, sorry, like they just can't show up." And it's
yeah.
just like, man, you're preparing for a world title fight. Like, I had 8 weeks from the fight that I had with Inoue. I think it was like maybe like 9 or 10,
Hmm.
but I only had a short time to get ready for this fight, and I'm preparing for someone. You're the exact same. I'm bringing in people the exact same height, exact same style, and then you're telling me I'm fighting someone 5'8", then I'm fighting someone 5'2". That's a grappler, and us athletes or martial artists, we don't get a lot of respect from it. There are people will degrade you when you turn it down. It's like, well, bro, we're at the highest of highs. We're fighting for a fucking world title. Like,
Yeah.
what is this? Like you don't just say like, oh, you need this, you need to take this short notice fight because this is all we have. I mean, yes, I did do it because I believe fully in my preparation and my confidence in myself. Like, throw anyone out there because that's just who I am as a wrestler, right?
Hmm.
Wrestling, we whoever, we don't know who we're wrestling next. We just go out there and we wrestle. So luckily for me, I have that mind state. But now I'm making money this time. This is a profession. I'm an entertainer, and so when you want me to go out there and entertain fans, and you give me 8 to 12 weeks to prepare for someone, you better believe I'm gonna go out there and entertain. But when you give me 10 days, 12 days, like it's hard to make that game plan or that adjustment in those amount of days and go entertain and give the performance that the fans deserve, And so that's all I'm saying. I just want to, for me, I want people to return to the seat and watch me fight again. And I want to be able to perform at my optimal. And so when things are planned out, when things are guaranteed, it's like, look you're going to get your performance. You're going to get your money's worth. Barzola, all my fights before that, I gave people's money's worth. A new way, I know who I'm fighting. Sucho Kim, I know who I'm fighting. You're going to get your money's worth.
Yeah.
I promise you. Just give me the time, give me what I need, and I'm going to have the performance of a lifetime.
Yeah, very well said, man. And I think a great point you mentioned is they're like Kai and Hiromasa, completely different styles,
Yeah,
body types, everything. So
right.
I can't give you shit
Yeah.
for that, you know? It's like
Yeah,
crazy. But
right.
those are MMA fans, unfortunately. So
Yeah, right. And but the awesome thing that shows the difference between American, like what they call keyboard war, or what do they call them? Like just the guys that like watch it and think like Sean O'Malley would just run through Apache mix, like
oh,
those
the
kind of people,
casuals.
right? The casuals, there you go. Like those type of people, like they don't really exist in Japan, and it's
Yeah.
cool because they appreciated it. They were like, "Man, you took this fight on short notice, and you out grappled him. You took him down. Like you beat him at his own game. You controlled him. Like good job, and you're the champion." Like it was super cool because you get there's a lot more respect, and for one, I'm fighting in front of 30,000 people,
Yeah.
40,000 people, and it's just like that's real MMA. That's what I mean. It's going to be hard to go back to a different promotion after fighting in front of fans like that.
Oh yeah, I can imagine, man. It's at the purest form, right? And it's got just that
Yeah,
feel, the atmosphere, the environment, all that good stuff. So it's pretty
yeah,
wild, man. And I think too for the story, like in a way, obviously you won, so it worked out pretty well. That's the big
yeah,
thing. But
right.
still getting Kai and now getting him on New Year's Eve, where everything we just said right there is at its peak, right? At its biggest and best.
Yeah,
So in a way, do you think that like this is working out better that it happened like this?
yeah. I mean, definitely. They're like with MMA. MMA is really cool because you have to take opportunity when opportunity knocks on the door, right? Like you got to be able to open that door and walk through there and just see what happens, and just like I never thought I was gonna be able to. I kind of written off on Risen. I tried to fight there so many times. Then the opportunity came knocking. I was like, hell yeah, let's do it.
I kept
And
asking
now
you,
for my
man. Back
right,
in the
man.
day.
Right. And then now I'm having my second show and now I'm headlining it. It's like dream come true against a guy who's the previous champ, who's beat guys like Manel Cape, who's beaten Horiguchi, who's been the champion, and he's the superstar
Yeah.
out there. And it's just like, dude, we're gonna go out there and I'm gonna perform. I can't wait. Like I'm gonna leave it all on the line. I don't care if I win or lose. I'm just gonna go perform, and I'm excited about that. And I've been wanting to fight Asakura for a long time because of the validity he brought to the ring. But now him showing his like true colors, I know I'm like, okay, I see where you are now. I know what you're doing. You're not doing this because you love it. You're not doing this because this provides for your family. You're doing this because it's convenient for you. Well, there's nothing convenient about fighting me, and he's gonna learn that, and so he's gonna have a hard fight, and I'm gonna be in his face, and it's gonna be rough and grueling for him, and I know he's gonna quit now. Like he pulled out, like, oh, I'm hurt, like I can't show up, and it's like you weren't really hurt because if you were hurt, you wouldn't accept this fight again on New Year's Eve, So I know how nervous he is of fighting me, So maybe he asked Pitbull Patricio like, "Hey, what's it like fighting Juan?" And he's like, "Dude, I hit that dude with the kitchen sink and he didn't move,
Yeah.
Like this guy, you're in trouble, So maybe that's why he pulled out. Who knew, But I know for a fact he's in for a world of hurt.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need any confidence boosters, man. I mean, in general, but obviously you got, I think, fairly good stylistic matchup just with yours against his. And, I don't know if you look at MMA math much at all, but you can be like, oh, beat Hero who beat him, for the last time they were going at it for the title. Does any of that stuff play into your mind? Like, again, you don't need these boosters, but it's like, oh, I'm fully confident in going into this.
Yeah, because like when I watch people fight them, it's not the style that I would fight them,
Right.
right? Like I have a very flamboyant style of and a very high output in my fights. So like when I watch tape and I watch things like that, it's hard to picture what he would do against me,
Mm.
you know? So I don't take into account because Hiromasa again is a completely different fighter than I am, and some of the other guys that have beat him, different fighters. So I don't take the MMA math into account. Just because I've gotten under his skin now. Now he's gonna want to come out and bang. So, which is awesome because I want that. I want that entertainment for the fans. They deserve it. And so for me, it's just like strap up your boots and let's go, bro. Like we're gonna scrap.
Oh yeah, man. Plenty of buildup and anticipation for it. Like I said, we've manifested this for so many years now. It's finally
Yes, we have.
capping off at the end. It's gonna be great, man. And it's
Yeah.
wild. Like obviously, one I gotta ask you. The big news. I've been a Bellator guy for all these years, and now things change in Bellator. And they're sticking around at least for the next year. It sounds like, right, with PFL absorbing them. But man, I know you've tweeted a little bit about it, but I gotta get your thoughts and reaction to I mean, crazy stuff. Didn't thought we'd see the day, but just what do you make of everything that's going on?
Yeah, man, it's like it's strange, you know. Talked to Don Davis a couple times via text, and I don't think he sees like the vision that could possibly transpire with me winning this belt and like the next steps going ahead. You know, like I wrote how excited I was at for this merger to happen. And I said, listen, if you want a true global martial arts like um promotion,
Yeah.
like dude, I'm your guy. Like hello, like I'm getting ready to fight in Japan. I hope you can make it. And he said, oh, we'll see. It's like, bro, we'll see. Like you have to go to Japan. Like Scott Coker's gonna be there. Mike Hogan's
Mm,
gonna be like, if 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 you consider yourself a martial artist and consider yourself as having the best roster now, and I'm a champion of a different organization, well signed under your organization, and if you don't see the vision of me possibly having three different promotion titles at one time, like dude, like I guess it has to be his own idea or
yeah.
something. I'm not sure, but I'm not sure what he has planned because I've tried to like plant the seed, so to speak. But
Mm,
we're gonna see what happens. First I have to take care of business, and I'm super excited for the merger, like
mm,
luckily for me, I can fight at 145, I can fight at 155, I can fight at 135. Like for me, the sky's the limit. I'm not afraid of anyone that, steps in the cage with me. I'm gonna go out there and perform. And the capabilities there sound tremendous. They
mm.
sound like they're awesome. It sounds like he's for the fighters. It sounds like, like this deal with Ryzen, I didn't know if it was gonna keep going through.
Oh yeah.
Like I didn't know until last week till I talked to him. I was like, hey, you're gonna be at my fight, right?
Right.
And I'm like, he was like, oh yeah, we'll see. I'm excited for it. I'm like, okay, cool. At least I'm still fighting out
Yeah.
there. Like,
Just
but
making sure.
yeah, the contract was signed. Obviously, they
Yep.
can't void my contract, and they got to honor it, right?
Mm.
And so, and I'm the champion. Like
Yes.
this
Yes.
is this is what happened, right? And so, you can't change too much because it's contracted out. I've signed the contracts and things like that. But MMA is a funny game. You never know. But I'm super excited for the matchups, though. They obviously don't have a 135
Mm.
division, so rightfully, Patchy Mix is on what now, a 5-6 fight win streak. I win this fight, I'm on a 5 fight win streak. He's beaten everyone in the top five except me. Like,
Yep. Yep.
and I've asked him, I said, hey, man, Coker told me after New Year's I'm victorious. I'm rightfully the next in line for a title fight. I hope this still transpires. And then he just wrote me that there's going to be big opportunities in next year. So I'm not sure what that means. I'm not sure the vision he has. But if you're doing a champion versus champion card, I'm champion of
Exactly.
Ryzen. He's champion of Bellator. Like, come on, bro. Like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to spell it out for you without being blatant.
Yeah.
So, but first things first, right?
Yes.
Asakura on New Year's, and that's the biggest fight of my career right now because none of this happens without winning that fight.
Right.
Because if they shelf me and they say I won't fight for a while, it's cool because I'm with Ryzen and I win this fight. I got the champion versus champion fight there. At 145, it's like never been done before in the
Mhm.
organization, so let's do it.
I mean, dude, you're like legit in the best like possible spot. I think with all you already have a lot of options, like you said, with the weight classes and whatnot. But now it's like over here, over here. It's like you could do it.
Yeah,
Essentially, you would think in theory, whatever you kind of want to
yeah,
with the freedom. So
right,
it's really awesome, man. I'm very happy for
yeah.
you. And I know you're a guy that likes to stay active too. And if you were to like, let's say, jump in a PFL tournament just to try it out, win $1 million, all that fun stuff. Let's say 145, since they don't have 135 at the moment. Even though here's the thing, Juan, it's like technically now they do. They have Bellator's division, so just do that.
Right,
But but anyway,
right, right.
I wanted to ask you like, just are you a guy who likes the tournament format that they're doing the season because essentially, win 5 fights and you're the champ, like that keeps you real active. I know you like to do that. Just what do you think of how they've been doing that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, so I fought October, like mid-October against Barzola. I fought on New Year's. Then I fought like I think it was in April, and then I fought July. So those were 4 fights that I did within an 8 month span,
Yeah.
and it was just like now I'm having my fifth fight at the end of the year. I could have fought again in August or
Mhm.
September if they told me to. And that's how confident I was. So for me, I love tournament style fight settings because I treat my body right. I
Yeah.
take care of my body. I'm not a guy that takes the exogenated drugs or takes the synthetic drugs to try to keep up. And like those guys, you're gonna start to see weed out because for one, they're not gonna continually make weight over and over. They're gonna get hurt. You're tested all the time. And so that's why you get these guys in PFL that don't really, you're like, man, how did that guy grit through all this? This is crazy, but it's because like they're not taking the synthetic drugs that make their body break down, that
Mhm.
the joints start coming off, and just the muscles and the bones and things like that. So I'm a guy that it favors because I could last.
Mhm.
I'm a goer. So and I treat my body well, and if the opportunity knocks on the door, you better believe I'm walking through it.
Absolutely, man. And like, it's kind of crazy. I think a lot of people won't realize or remember, but you know, you fought at WSOF 19 in your sixth fight. And, of course, they turned into PFL. And that was a rare time, Juan, a very rare time that you've lost in your career. But
Yes.
does the PFL news and like this possibility feel like full circle in a bit of a way because of that? Or is that not something you've thought about?
Yeah, actually, it is something I thought about because every organization I fought for, I've won a world title in,
Mm,
except World Series of
yeah.
Fighting, which in turn is PFL.
Yes.
So this is where opportunity again came knocking him,
Yeah.
falling in my lap, just like boom, here you go. Like this is written, and you can't unwrite it. So it's something that's gonna that I've said for years. Like obviously, I wanted to go undefeated and had that young mindset of like never losing an MMA fight. But then that was like scary because you fight not to lose, right?
Yeah.
And then you end up losing, and it's like you're not performing. You're just trying to go out there. Like it was like Khabib pretty much at the end of his career. He was
Hmm.
just fighting to not lose, and then you got some of the other guys that fight just not to lose.
Yeah.
And so that being said, like the story's being written, like we just talked about in the beginning. It was like it continues to be written, and my legacy is going to be when I leave this sport, every promotion I fought for, I've won a world title. And so now whatever it may be, the last 5 years of this run or however long the Lord blesses me with
Mhm.
my time in MMA, I get that one opportunity to make it. And so this is that opportunity that I'm going to put pedal to the metal and let's go.
Can't beat that, man. It's a super exciting time. I cannot wait for 2024 to get here already, and great way to cap it off.
Right.
With the fights coming up on New Year's. But I got to hit you with the hard question though, Juan. As we're talking about the Bellator and PFL stuff, like the fondest memory from the Bellator times. Maybe it's an easy question because you did become champ, but It can maybe not something in the cage, just like overall fondest Bellator memory for you personally, man.
Man,
So many to choose
the
from.
best memory I have of Bellator is I was in Spain with my brother, and I get a call from Georgie Karakanian. He's like, "Hey man, I'm gonna be in Ireland." I said, "Hey, can I go? I'll go help you out." And he's like, "Yeah, let's go." And so I was like, "All right, I'm just gonna fly from Spain, and I'll meet you in Dublin." So I went out up there, and I got to corner him, and I got to witness the crowd sitting in the back and sitting right there, and just watching Georgie go in there. And I forgot who he fought that fight. I think he ended up catching him in a guillotine and just choking him out because it was obviously a hometown boy and a
Hmm.
favorite, and Georgie chokes him out and he wins, and it was just like, man, that was super cool. And then we just celebrated, had a good time in Ireland, just went to the Guinness factory, went to the Jameson factory. We just hung out and drank and celebrated, and it was super cool. So that's one memory I'll always keep of Bellator, as well as like the one that's like a bittersweet for me too, that kind of like changed the trajectory of my career and actually letting me know that I was going to be great in Bellator as well, was beating Dantes, Madison
Mm-hmm.
Square Garden,
Yeah.
first time fighting in there. And I didn't know this at the time, but when I got the knockout, it was like a buzzer beater, obviously, and I got to
Yeah.
walk off and called out Horiguchi, and it was super cool because same night Horiguchi becomes the first double promotion champion, right? And
Hmm.
I was just like, man, I want that fight, like that's what I wanted to do. But then later on the next day, I found out that the same night, like right before my fight, my uncle had died, and it was just like he died of a heart attack, and it was just like, man, like so that's one fight that I'll never forget because it goes, it's my uncle. Like
Hmm.
we went fishing together a month before, and
Yeah.
it was just like he was telling me how excited and how proud he was of me fighting at Madison Square Garden, and he just told me like, go be great, go do something that people are always gonna remember. And I feel like when he died, like right before my fight, like because it was literally that night, his wife said he was trying to my aunt was trying to he was trying to put it on the TV, and then he just collapsed right there, and I was just
Damn.
like, man. So it's like he was there in spirit, though. He helped
Yeah.
me get that knockout, and that's how I feel about it, right? Like, if I, because I'm very spiritual, and I just felt like he wanted to be there so bad that he was, that he came and helped me knock him out. So, and it changed the trajectory of my career. I got the Pitbull fight, then I got the 135-pound fight, first time knocking out a world champ. So it was awesome.
Yeah, man. I mean, definitely did him proud, man, and continue to. Like, a lot of crazy moments, a lot of good memories. So I know there's a lot to choose from. So to
Right,
put you on the
right.
spot there, man. But yeah,
Yeah, no, it's
it's
good.
wild. It's wild
It's good
times.
because it's like the end of a era, right? Like a
Yeah.
really good era too. And it was like, it's unfortunate COVID happened. That's like
Yeah.
that. I think that's where we lost a lot of momentum, and which was crazy because like throughout however long we it took for Bellator to come back on,
Hmm.
I was supposed to be the first fight back,
Yeah.
and then I got COVID, and like the week before I was supposed to fly out, I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Right.
And then so yeah, it was like one of those things. And then luckily Patchy was like, nah, I want to fight Archuleta. So and I want the title in September, and it happened to be my
There
birthday.
you go.
Like, dude, September 12th, and then the 12th round was going at 12 o'clock hit, or the fifth round, 12 o'clock hit,
Hmm.
and I just remember Tiki and Cub and TJ were like, hey motherfucker, happy birthday. Now go get your birthday present. I was like, oh shit, it's my
Here
birthday. I
we go.
forgot. I was like, thanks. And I gave him a high five. And I was like, let's go finish this off. That was super cool. So yeah, I mean that was pretty special too, winning a title on your birthday. Like, man,
Yeah, not a lot
crazy.
of people could say that, man. So you're checking off
Yeah.
all the boxes, one, but
Right. Right.
yeah, a lot of good stuff, man, and a lot of good things coming. So I know it's getting late here, man. I mean, always love chatting with you, bro. But
Yeah,
I'll let
heck
you get
yeah.
on with the night, and just can't wait to see the fight, of course, and just wishing you the best luck with everything going forward, man. Like we've talked about, I mean, got the world in the palm of your hand, I think, with all these options, dude. So it's going to be super awesome. Hopefully I can get
Yeah.
out to one of your fights again soon. It's harder now with you over in Japan, but I'm definitely
I
planning
know,
to
man.
sooner. But
And then if like I don't fight in PFL, then I'm gonna be all on
somewhere else,
it sounds
different
like it's all gonna
country.
be foreign, right? It's gonna be
Yeah.
all Europe and Saudi Arabia and things like that. So it's like, man, I might not fight here for a minute
I know,
unless they
traveling.
put me in the 45 tournament. It's just
Yes.
like, but it's good. My kids get to see the world. I get to see the world. My wife gets to see the world. My mom and dad. I mean, that's like the best thing about it, right?
Yeah.
Like as a young kid, I always wanted, like, we were big sports fans growing up. We watched boxing all the time. We watched the World Cup. We
Hmm.
watched, the NBA, the like any American home, right?
Yeah.
And as a kid, you always like, man, I want to be that person that takes my dad and be able to compete for world titles and be able to go to different countries and sold out arenas. And that's the coolest thing that happened when I was at Saitama. I
Mm,
had to look around and my dad was there and he got to see me fight in Japan, in a sold out
it's
arena.
crazy.
And then he got to see me win my world title in Japan, in a Saitama arena that was like the birth of MMA, the mecca of true like martial arts. That who's gonna win?
Yes. Yeah.
Brazilian boxer, wrestler, and like they put these guys that are just massive in this ring, right? And it's just like, man, we etched our name in history that's never gonna be taken away. I'm the first American Rising champion, Dad. Like, I thank you for all the sacrifice. And another little story was like seeing me do that to him. It was like really hard for him too, right? Because
Mm,
like I'm not gonna lie, 135 it's a dramatic weight cut
yeah.
for me. It's just like I walk around probably like 185 if I'm not working out every day and on
Just
a
chilling.
strict regimen. Yeah, right now eating what I want, walk around 185. And so when I get down, it's like I'm skin and bones, And so my dad see me cutting the weight, my dad and mom, and they're just like feeling for me. And mind you, like again, I fought in October, I fought in
Yeah.
January, I fought in April. Like this is my
Taking a
fourth
toll.
weight cut down to 134 pounds, and my dad was like, man, I was so close to tell you like, hey man, like it's not worth it, like don't do it. And then I looked at him because he told me this after the fight, and I looked at him, I said, Dad, man, like what the hell are you talking about? Like my whole life, you told me when the going gets tough, the tough get going. It's not it's what you do in the dark will soon come to light. I
Mm,
said, Dad, I've done so much hard work. You've done so much sacrifice. Like, even if I did die doing this, I died something doing something I love. Like, obviously, I wasn't gonna die. Like,
yeah.
but to him, it's just sad to see his son like not brittle, but that skinny, right? And
Right.
I said, Dad, listen, like you and mom would leave before the sun came up every morning to work. And then you would not come home until 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. You had seven kids. They were both they worked their ass off
Yeah.
to support us. Seven kids in one house, like food's expensive, cost is expensive, sports is expensive, right? And I was like, man, like you sacrifice so much. Like for me, like this is the only way to pay you back from those times that you almost fell asleep on the road driving when you were so tired, but you knew you had to push through because you had seven kids to provide for. Like you dedicated and you sacrificed so much time for that. Like how can I just be like, Dad, this is too hard. I can't do this. Like, dude, I'm walking away from everything you sacrificed for me. Like, come on, man. Like, don't feel sorry for me. Like, let's celebrate. Let's
Yeah.
love this. Like, enjoy the moment. We're in a different country fighting for a world title in front of 40,000 people, 30,000 people. Like, this is what we dreamed about when we were kids. This is what you pushed me at, waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning to work out before you went to work. Like, dude, like this is it. This is time to cash in, man.
Yes.
Like, so yeah. So the next step is obviously financial pay, right? Like,
Right.
I'm obviously not like able to walk away yet because it's just like, I still don't get the beneficial value of being world champion because I've always lost that next one. And
Mm,
that's why I'm training so hard for this. It's like I want to be able to change all our lives through this fighting, and I'm close to doing it, and I hope that this performance provides that, this next performance, because I think I deserve it now. I think
yeah.
I have the opportunity. I don't need to fight backwards anymore. I need the big fights. Like Dustin Poirier put 10 years into his career before he was able to cash in. I'm at the 10-year mark this year, and I'm going on my 11th. It's time for me to cash in, and I'm tired of getting treated like the bottom of the barrel and I'm not really bottom of the barrel,
Yeah.
but mid barrel. I'm
Right.
working my way up. I've I've scratched, kicked, and clawed my way to the top now. Now I'm at the top, and this is gonna change my life, and that's what this fight means to me. All the hard work, the sacrifice, everything that I've done. It's time to cash in, and that's why Asakura's name is important on this one.
Fucking love it, Juan. I mean,
Oh yeah.
trying to make me cry tonight, man. That's a
Right,
great
man. That's,
story, brother.
well, like
Huh?
that's like how like emotional, like that's how much weight we carry, like
Yeah.
again, like me and Cub talking about this, and you've been there for so long for me, and you've seen the rise,
Yeah.
you've seen where I grew up from, and it's just like we've scratched, kicked, and clawed our way out of the gutter legitimately, and it's just like it's time now. It's time to make the impact that will change our lives. Like this is the weight we bear as fighters, that people don't get to see. And that's why I've opened myself up more on the YouTube, like how you asked. It's like
Yeah.
because people need to see, yeah, they see like the nice stuff now, and that's why I wish I had that footage from
Hmm.
back then because they could see where I clawed myself out of.
Right.
Like my wife and I has legitimately been by my side. My kids have woken up every morning to see dad train his ass off, and now they're at the point now where they're training every morning and they're putting in due diligence to strive for whatever it is that they need. Like they don't need to fight, but they're gonna wrestle. They're gonna
Hmm.
be educated. They're gonna get honor roll. They're gonna have straight A's, and they're gonna make their way just like we did. Kick, scratch, clawed our way to the top.
And keep on climbing, man. Keep on
Yes,
climbing.
sir.
So it's an exciting time. New chapters being written, man. Starting with this one, as you said, like beat a superstar, become a superstar, even that much more, and collecting all these belts, man. So
Yeah, something they can't take now, right?
exactly, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So excited for it. Once, so happy for you, man. And again,
Thanks,
gonna
brother.
try and get out to one of your fights again soon as I can, brother. But
Yes.
until then, safe travels with everything wherever you're going, man. And I will be watching. So wishing you the best of luck, my guy.
Yes, appreciate. So next thing, three belts, three different promotion, one waist.
Yeah, triple champ,
That's
one
the
waist.
next goal, right? Always setting goals so you could keep striving to be better.
Yes, absolutely. Well, on that note, Juan, all right, I'll let you have a good rest of your night, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you, brother.
And last but not least, it is the magician, the current BKFC champion, John Dodson. All right, well, Mr. Dodson, good to see you again. Happy Wednesday night, man. Just how are things? How you been? How's life treating you?
Oh man, I'm amazing. I'm so excited to go ahead and get on this next card. Like, be honest with you, Ryzen's such a highlight promotion for me because of the fact that they love, your friendly neighborhood midget,
Of course, of course.
the mutant. I'll take that one as two because, like, I'm coming out there looking like a Ninja Turtle, bopping and dancing all the way down to the ring and waiting until I can kick somebody with some high flying ninja moves.
Definitely, man. We're always looking forward to that. And speaking of Ninja Turtles, I was surprised to see you didn't. I'm sure you've dressed up as before for Halloween last month, but not this year, man. You went against the Ninja Turtle costume.
Against it, it was my wife's choice this
Ah,
year.
little,
Yeah.
yeah, happy wife,
So
happy
we
life.
and all the kids kind of just decided to do whatever they wanted to do because my son wanted to be Ghostface again, and he was like, we gotta get a new mask, and I grew a little bit, and I was like, where'd you? He was like, my shoe size, dad. I was like,
Yeah, taking what he can get, nitpicking a little bit there. Oh,
this is
fantastic.
good though.
Yeah, man. Glad to hear it. Of course, still a good costume, even if it wasn't the Ninja Turtles. That's all right. Got to mix it up every now and then, but getting back to mixing it up in the ring here, man. And last time we saw you in the Ryzen ring was Ryzen 42 in May, and got the win over Salmoto. Obviously had plenty of time now since then to prepare for the next one, look back on it. Just were you like happy with the performance? What did you make of him as an opponent and the win over him? How happy were you with it? What did you think?
Him as an opponent as a whole was just like interesting because he was 14. He was on a 14 fight win streak, dominated throughout all of Japan, and he sat there and was willing to step in to the ring with me. Like, he was a tough opponent. He had a hard head. He hit me with some clean shots, but I was expecting more pressure from him, and I wanted to deliver this finishing blow that this dude's never been knocked out by. I was like, cool, I'm gonna knock him out, and he just wouldn't go down. And then my wife, she been she brings up every time. She goes, remember that one time that you gave up on a ninja choke? And I was like, yes, babe, I do. But you gotta remember, I don't get to kick people in the face on the ground. And
Right.
soccer kicking somebody on my dream. So I was soccer kicking on the knee as much as I could. And she was, okay, at least you lived out one of your fantasies. Let's go ahead and go back to finishing the next dude. I was like, all right, we can do that.
Wow, she's really harsh on you there with the ninja choke, huh?
She wasn't really harsh. She just like makes fun of it because she's like, I mean, she's like, you could have had your like a first submission in Japan. I was like, yeah, but I'm more of a knockout artist, anyways.
There's time. Give it maybe the next fight. We'll see. But that's funny, man. Yeah, definitely a good performance though. And I mean, hey, after that, you still got the knockout anyway when you went back to the bare knuckle action, putting away J.R. Ridge with round 1 knockout to win the title, man. Congrats on that. Like, where does that stack up against like your accomplishments, man? I mean, you're just making these fights in bare knuckle really fast. You're not wasting your time, man.
I'm gonna go ahead and continuously knock people out in the first round of bare knuckle. Bare knuckle is a general home for me. Like, it's not like it's like a new awakening and a blessing for me because I get to show off my true abilities. The explosive power and the elusive movements that I have control the whole range of the squared circle. So while I'm in the BKFC arena, like nobody's gonna be able to match my speed, power, and my athleticism.
Yeah, showing that off for sure, man. And like, did you want to fight sooner because of how quick the win was? Like, it doesn't seem difficult for you to, go quick with these, but it's just a matter of finding people, I'm sure.
You know what? I would love to go ahead and step back into the square circle as soon as possible. But right now, they got that big event coming up on December 2nd, where they have Mike Perry versus Eddie Alvarez fighting for the King of Violence title. I was like, I swear to God, I think I knocked out everybody in the first round. I'm the King of Violence. I've already proven it. Like, you guys want to be hitting each other, which is ridiculous. I mean, I like getting hit once in a while, but not taking a whole fight where my face gets mangled and looks like a chopped liver and a whole doggy bag and it looks like one of those Rocky Balboa highlights where you see the bag of meat just hanging down and just getting beat on. Nah, I ain't trying to do that.
Yeah. We'll leave that for Jason Knight. It's kind of becoming his thing, unfortunately. That guy's, he wears it bad.
I mean, he does, but he doesn't wear it bad. He wears it good because like that's like his badge of honor. He's like, yeah, I got cut good. The reason I made it the knight is because I am a knight, a shining armor of blood. I was like, that is not armor.
Yeah, no kidding, man. Definitely entertaining guy to watch, though. That's for sure. But man, it's really cool, John. Of course, you made your Rising debut on the New Year's Eve show last year, man. Got the great win over Hideo Takura, the legend, of course, was a big one for you, I know. And then here we go again for another New Year's Eve show, back to back, man. Keep it going. Like, what's the excitement like for being on another show? But like, I'm curious too, is there any more or like less nerves since you had the debut there?
I don't have any more nerves going back out to Japan. Like, they're so welcoming. They love the fact that fighters are fighting and they want to respect us at all aspects of the game. So when I go out there, I know I'm being treated pretty much as close to much as to being a king as possible. So they have utmost respect. They all are very humble. They all understand what we do as fighters, and they show so much respect. So even my opponent, like, I'm not even gonna sit there and say anything bad about him. Like, he's been calling me out, and I want to sit there and secure this another victory so I can go ahead and promote for myself to be the number 1 contender for that flyweight title that's being actually fought on the same card.
Yeah, it's not an official tournament, but definitely feels like a little bit of an unofficial one in that regard, right? Winners fight the winners, so should be fun in that sense.
And ain't nobody gonna try to watch Hiromasu fight Horiguchi 4 times. So,
yeah, we've seen that. We've seen that enough.
If you lose 3 times on the road to the man, I mean, it's time to give it up.
Yeah, definitely. So like, how soon are you going to head out, man? I know it's not like a big climate type of thing with Japan, but obviously far from, the States and whatnot. So like, how soon are you going to get out there?
Actually, I'm going to leave on New Year's, right after, not New Year's Day, my bad, right after Christmas. We're going on the 26th, leaving in the early in the morning and get there on the 27th. Because my brother is actually come out there with me because he's always been like my cornerman for everything, for all my fights. He's going to be out there making the journey with us, and he's going to be that fourth Ninja Turtle.
There we go.
Walk another whole out there and ready to go kick some ass and have some fun.
Awesome, man. Awesome, man. Is it hard dealing with the holidays during fight time and fight camp for you, like with family, or is it kind of, you did it last year, so they know what to expect this time, or how is it in that regard?
No, because like family's still always gonna be family. Like I have to still cut as much weight as I can so that I can estimate how much weight I have to lose for the holidays. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I like to eat food, and everybody wants my family is all Hispanic, so they like to go ahead and shove food in front of your face. And if you say no, it's very disrespectful because they will pile more food on top of that. Then you got to eat that too. So I'm like, yeah. So I'm gonna be like 125 on Christmas Eve, and then on 120, then I'll be back to like 145 on the 26th. Then I'll start cutting the rest of my weight. Be good to go.
All right. All right. Sounds like testing the willpower for sure, man.
It is. I can't even lie. Like I'm like, I just don't want to eat food, and then they just want to pile food on top of your plate. And you're like, no, and they're like, yes, and I'm like, oh, this whole thing called a. And they're like, what's that? I was like, I hate you guys.
Yeah, so we'll have to enjoy it until then, man. You got a couple weeks left, so we don't need to think about it right now. But yeah, that'll be no fun.
The handful of rice. And I'm in a handful, I'm like literally like the palm of my hand. Right here, right inside of it, yeah. My hands ain't that big, so it's not that big of a meal.
Got to do what you got to do. So it's the price of being a fighter, man. But going up against another veteran, though, we mentioned Hiromasa's name here. Like, been around for a while. You guys were both on The Ultimate Fighter. Different seasons, of course, but, veterans in the game. Been around for a good while each. But I'm sure you're familiar with him. Watched the Horiguchi fights, of course. Just what do you make of him as an opponent at this stage in his career? Like, expectations, I guess, and how you match up with him.
My expectations going into this fight is going to be a wild, rambunctious fight. The dude's so chaotic that he wants to throw everything and anything to go ahead and secure a decision win. I'm not trying to go out there to decision anybody. Like I've already made a point. I'm going out there trying to clean your clock and making sure I get the perfect KO that I want. I'm adding people to my highlight reel every step of the way. Like the UFC literally let me go because of the fact that they said I wasn't exciting enough. So I'm not trying to market myself back to the UFC, but I want them to regret ever letting me go.
Of course, man. Of course. Always a good goal to have. And I mean, especially against a guy like Hiromasa, who's pretty durable, pretty tough. Like, I'm sure those kind of wins, when you put away the guy, like, makes it that much sweeter. I know you're trying with the last one, like you said, but for a guy like Hiromasa, we don't see finished that often, right?
Not at all. Even like he's gone against some like tough fighters. Like even with Juan Archuleta when he was out there trying to fight for the 135 title against him in the last card, and what actually was the same card I was on. But he's out there. He wanted to make sure that he can push the pace, and he was getting it outworked and outbullied by a bigger and stronger fighter. So it's going to see what's going to be different in this fight when he has somebody about his comfortable weight, but not the same type of power.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's going to be a fascinating one. Can't wait to see it, man. And mentioned the other fight going on for the title. I mean, Horiguchi versus Shinru 2, but I mean, it's pretty much one. First fight didn't really happen, so you can't take too much away from that.
Like a 30-second walkout. They had more time prepping in the back than they did in the fight.
Yeah, that was quite a bummer, So I'm glad that it's happening again and, still going to be resolved. But I guess just what's a prediction on that one, man? What's the feel? Obviously, it's hard to go against Horiguchi, but Shinru, great up-and-comer, really good for where he is in his career, can break out with this one. But, like, do you have the same feelings going into it the second time? There's more prep for each other. Just what do you think in terms of how it'll shake out?
I don't know, because it gave him more time to go ahead and understand what was going to be the speed and power. Like Horiguchi came out, might have hit him with a quick little eye jab, but he actually felt the speed difference right then and there. And that established the whole thing to scare the man, to make him sure that he wanted to go ahead and take a rain check on the fight.
All right. Yeah, man. It's going to be, I think it's really cool that, both of you guys are getting to fight on the same card, both of the fights happening. Because like I said, unofficial tournament in a sense, and makes too perfect of sense for, let's say Horiguchi wins the title, then you beat Hiromasa. Been waiting for you guys to fight forever. That makes the next step make most sense to start off the new year. So, are you kind of rooting for him in that regard?
Because I've been calling Horiguchi out for like since I got to Japan. Everybody's been sitting there talking about how he's been the most decorated guy to leave the UFC. And I'm like, no, not really. Because at the end of the day, like, it's going to be me. I'm going to be out there being a BKFC champion and a Horizin champion at the exact same time. And that has never been done in combat sports. To hold two different titles and two different organizations in two different disciplines.
Yeah, some history to be made.
Boxers going over to like with Holly going from boxing straight into like you winning the UFC title out there, but nobody's being able to hold two titles simultaneously in two different types of fighting styles and two different major promotions as well.
Yeah, great points, man. And it's really fascinating too, the times that we're living in, because Horiguchi and Shinru was supposed to be for the Bellator flyweight title. Now they're moving to the Horizin flyweight title. Obviously, Bellator getting absorbed now by PFL, man. Like, thoughts on that? You're already a Renaissance man a little bit at this stage, John, with the BKFC and, Horizin, like you just mentioned right there. But now you kind of have the potential to get back in on that mix. I know we talked about you maybe fighting in Bellator if possibilities arose last time, but now it's Bellator plus PFL, all this madness. Like, what was your reaction to the big news? And, like, you think it's good or bad overall for MMA? Like, just what did you think when you saw this go down?
Go down. I was like, they still do crossover promotions. Can I possibly be a millionaire by next year? I was like, I can definitely run a 25 Risen PFL and Bellator tournament and making sure that they have all the champions fighting in this thing and trying to go in the rule sets and making sure I am knocking out as many of these dudes as possible. Because we already know that's 6 points. So, and if that's 6 points, we already know I'm catching everybody's neck. Well, I'm not hitting them in the chin. I'm punching you guys in the throat. You guys are too tall for me.
We get the idea.
Chin's a little too tall. I can put you in the throat.
Yeah, and I mean, just speaking of the activity again, too, John, like, their format is made specifically for that, really fighting. Some people, you have to fight 5 times, win 5 times to become the champion. Like, what do you think of the PFL season format? Like, overall, is that something you like and would be interesting for you to be in?
I would be interested in being, because of the fact that, like, no matter how most of these dudes are all trying to come out there and fight very cautious. So you see a lot of people who want to go into decision, or they're trying to find an easy like submission victory because they know they have to continue on fighting within the next couple of months, or even like less than that, like 6 weeks, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, or pumping out as many fights as possible within that short amount of time. For me, it's like a dream come true, because then I'll be sitting there be fighting in the PFL and the BKFC title and be trying to run both of them the whole way.
Yeah, for sure. It'd be super cool to see, man. It's great to have all these possibilities and options now. So we'll see what the future holds. 2024 is going to be pretty crazy. But, speaking too of the like cross sport of capabilities, doing 2 disciplines, like you said, I got to ask you then what you thought about Francis, going into boxing against Tyson Fury. I'm sure you saw that. It was kind of a big deal for how well he did. Like, what'd you think of this, man?
So much different, because everyone expected the exact same thing to go down with Mayweather versus Conor. They were like, oh man, Conor going out there thinking that he's a boxer, going against the best boxer. But you gotta remember that when Conor went in there, he might have been considered the best MMA striker. He went 8 rounds with Floyd Mayweather and landing good shots. So, given though that he still lost the decision, when you bring in 2 heavyweight giants with Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou, it's a luck of a punch, and they proved right then and there. Francis Ngannou sat there, clubbed Tyson Fury so hard that he realized, oh shit, I made the worst mistake ever, thinking that this dude was going to be a joke. No, Francis Ngannou is a real athlete. He wants to go out there and perform his craft or perfect his craft and be able to show people his knockout ability. Now, did he get to do it? Nah, he showed the potential of it, but they automatically, since he did that, put him into the top 10 of the boxing category right now. In that heavyweight division, he's now in the top 10. And that's the craziest thing. When people sat there were doubting him, now he's literally a top contender.
Yeah. I mean, did you think that he actually won the fight? Because I know a lot of people. I thought it was incredibly close. I think it was a coin flip, so I did score for him. But I think it was like, I'm not mad either way.
I'm not mad either way because of the fact that we know how boxing is.
Yeah,
We ain't saying anything, but
yeah, that's all we need to say.
I really did have Francis winning it. I actually had him winning 2 rounds to 1. Like, well, not 2 rounds to 1, but I had more rounds for Francis than I did for Tyson.
Yeah,
Because knocked down, he had more of the rounds, and the fact that he was controlling the pace, push it, and landing the heavier strikes. Even though Tyson had like more elusive maneuvers, that doesn't really win fights for fighters. But in boxing sense, I guess you're still scoring elusive technique as some kind of point system, and I don't understand it just right quite yet. Because boxing different things, and where if you hit with a certain point of the glove, it doesn't really count as a strike. So, each their own. I thought Tyson did a phenomenal job trying to promote the fight. He knew he had another big fight coming up afterwards. So, my hat's off to him. He took the challenge, took a beating, and now he's gonna go defend his belt against another dude who's like a freaking monster. So,
yeah, a lot of craziness.
yeah, I know. I was like,
Yeah, man, it's wild. It's been just a wild year for combat sports, obviously, and then the year coming up will be very wild too. But you mentioned the elusivity, John. Like, I want to ask you about this because I've been talking to some of the other fellow bantamweight and flyweights of yours. You know, you've been around, seen it all, been through all these kind of the fluctuations of the divisions, right? Like, especially in the UFC, where there was a time where Dana was maybe teasing they'd get rid of the flyweights, and now they're still hanging around, and things are very competitive, very fun. Everyone loves the division. Bantamweight across the globe, like best in the world, if you ask me. And just promotion by promotion is amazing too, no matter where it is. But I got to ask you, being a part of it, like, would you say the bantamweight and flyweight divisions are better than they have been ever?
in some regards, yes. Like in different promotions, you got some of the best athletes that are possible. Now, the new format that's coming into the number one promotion for mixed martial arts, it's kind of weird because we're seeing a lot of guys coming in with a lot of like low records. Like a lot of these dudes who are coming into the UFC with 4 or 5 fights. It's kind of hard for me to sit there and say that those guys are the best in the division and the best in the world, even though they might be ranked higher than us. They're not. They haven't been tested. They don't really have the skills and the tool sets. And be honest with you, I think Sean O'Malley would lose to Patsy Nix in this fight. If those two had fought, I think Patsy would just tie him up, choke him out in the first round. And that's my opinion. The Bellator champion could be the UFC champion.
Yeah. No, Patchy's phenomenal, man. He's very good. And I agree with you. I think stylistically that's a very tough one. And I wanted to ask you this too, because like, obviously we have a better chance of this one happening. Unfortunately, the Patchy one doesn't look like we'll get it too soon, but you fought Merab, and that's one that clearly makes a lot of sense. Do you think he'll be champion? If he gets the opportunity, obviously kind of weird there, but you think Merab will be UFC champion one day?
Oh, maybe one day. He's actually very a talented athlete. He loves to go ahead and wrestle. He just needs to go ahead and work on that striking ability. Like even when me and him fought, I was landing more of the heavier strikes, and he went into oh shit, I need to shoot. And it made it a bad night for me because of the fact that all I did was defend takedowns, and they scored the takedown attempts more than punching somebody in the mouth.
Yeah, obviously. Tricky style to get ready for, and a guy like him, you know, he never slows down. So it's just kind of
do so much. Let's just throw punches and kicks and knees at each other. That's way easier. It makes more.
50 takedowns, man. Come on, 50 a fight.
Eat that.
I still can't believe that.
My butt touching the mat. I'm a real small person. I'm tired. I'm like threatened by people who want to pretend to kidnap me, and it has happened before. I get panicked. I really panic. I start elbowing them in the face.
As you should, man. We don't need you getting kidnapped. So.
And they're not like little people. They're like big dudes. They're like big old like NFL linebackers and linemen just picking me up, running off with me. Think that it's funny because like they're like, "Oh, you're so cute and cuddly." I was like, "Don't say those words to me. You see how I couldn't fight you off even if I wanted to. I don't care how good of a fighter I am."
Like, I'm a grown man, you guys. Leave me alone.
Feel like Shorty off of Friday.
Right.
I'm a boy. I'm a boy, Jamie. No, no.
Oh, it's fantastic, man. All right, John. Well, I won't keep you too much longer, man. It's always great chatting with you. I know we could go on and on about all these topics, but before I do let you go, just when you visualize kind of, the fight with Hero, I know you got the ideas of the knockout in mind, but like when you visualize it, final prediction, like exactly how you kind of see it playing out before that moment. Like, you thinking you can get him out of there in the first round? You see a second round? When are you predicting exactly how this thing ends?
To be honest with you, how chaotic and sporadic this dude is, I might be able to put him away in the third. Like, first round is going to be very hard because he's very energetic and confident in the first round. Because on that second one, me and are going to have to tussle a lot more, see his takedown ability, see who can scramble the best. And it's going to be a war between two of the best scramblers in the world. So I want to see how well I can go ahead and deal with him because I've already did away with one, and that being Tim Elliott. Even though he lost to Tim Elliott, I controlled the pace with one broken hand, and I dominated the whole fight. So I want to be able to do the same thing with this one. I just want to finish, though.
Yeah,
no matter how.
Maybe that ninja choke. We'll see. We'll see.
I mean, I'm going out this Ninja Turtle. I'm only looking for ninja stuff. Right? Might be a ninja finish. I don't know. Could it be?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't work out in the last fight.
Well, hey, just gotta keep trying, man. So look forward to it. New Year's Eve, always a great time, Jana. So looking forward to it, and best of luck with everything. Safe travels. Hope you have a happy holidays over there and enjoy it, and get the win, man, and then can have a big 2024 with all these possibilities. So appreciate you taking the time, man, and hope you have a great rest of your night.
Oh, you too, man. I appreciate actually thinking about me. Want to go ahead and do this interview. It's always good time.
Yeah, likewise, man. So, all right, John, I'll see you next time.
Peace.